Kick the beat!
Your duties are likely to take you to the far reaches of the galaxy. I will need to deploy you at will. You shall have a starship of your own. You've earned it.
You bet I've earned it.
Travel ahead.
Hey everyone, Giancarlo Varanini here at Gamescom 2010. I'm joined by Daniel Erickson, the lead writer on Star Wars The Old Republic. Now Daniel, it was announced at Gamescom that Star Wars The Old Republic would have space combat. Now, Star Wars has a rich history in the space combat genre, so how much of a daunting task is that to kind of incorporate something like that into a game that's already so massive?
Well, one of the things you got to see was our approach has been the same as it's been for the ground game. We thought, first, what is going to give us the most cinematic, action-packed, true-to-the-movies experience? So, while daunting, we had a really good box to work in. So we looked at it and we said, all right, what does it actually look like in the movies when they go out and they get into a space fight? What are they doing in space? You know, what are they wandering around, or are they? No, they're traveling from point A to point B, and then things are going wrong, or they're trying to get in and do something sneaky, and then a whole bunch of combat breaks out, and we shoot a bunch of people, and it's big and it's pretty, and there's explosions. So we had a good place to draw from.
Yeah, certainly. I think everybody has had at least one fantasy about plowing into a storm of starfighters or evading star destroyers and things like that at some point. So, but it sounds like the space combat's actually completely optional, right?
Not sure right now if it'll be completely optional. A lot of it will be optional. There might be parts that are actually introduced through the story. We like to weave it together. The big thing, obviously, to make sure is that those parts are not so challenging that somebody who's more of the ground gamer and the role player would not be able to get through them. We're never going to want to stop you. So the more difficult things, the more tactical things, you know, when you're really, let's say, if you're going to be upgrading your ship, if you're going to be doing any of that stuff, and you're really into space combat, that's going to be something you're deciding to go do.
And what's the ultimate payoff for kind of participating in the space combat? Will you have access to things that, you know, nobody else is going to have access to if they don't really take advantage of that feature?
Absolutely. We're trying to also make there be several paths to rewards. So if, let's say, you really want to get that last little bit of experience points before you go to your next flashpoint, we want to make sure that there are lots of different ways to do that. So we're exploring things like giving XP for space combat, giving XP for battlegrounds, doing that sort of thing. So one of the philosophies we've always had is let the players play how they want to play, and in the play patterns that feel the best for them.
And as far as the rest of the game goes, so there's 8 classes that people can choose from, as well as specializations within those classes. How are things coming along in terms of finding the balance between those classes? Have you guys pretty much settled on a final point, or is it sort of constant tweaking?
We are nowhere near a final point. So what I tell people is, you know, we had a lot of internal debate about announcing the advanced classes, and people just need to understand that they are works in progress. We have a very complicated class system. We have the 8 stories we wanted to tell, but then we said, oh, well, that's not enough classes. I mean, it's a BioWare game and it's an MMO, all right? So we took the 16 advanced classes, and the advanced classes are total class systems by themselves. You can't think of another game where you have little offshoots. Like each of those classes, the difference between being a Sith Inquisitor, going down the sort of Darth Maul route where you're a close-in, you know, ninja guy fighter with your double-bladed lightsaber, versus going the Palpatine route of secrecy and lightning and creeping through, like, very different sort of builds. Now, take that and further modify it by which of your companion characters you've decided to take that day, right? Each class has their own companion characters, and they're built to work as sort of subclasses. Now take your companion characters, and remember, besides each of them having their own powers that are distinct to them, you can now kit them by getting AI kits that you can give them, that you say, okay, I'm going to give you the medical kit, so now you know to actually use your healing powers or the grenade kit or the whatever. So you've got layer of advanced upon advanced, and yeah, balancing is, it's some work.
Now, being the writing director, I mean, how great is it for you to be able to work within this universe, and how difficult has it been to sort of narrow your focus down onto certain aspects of the Star Wars mythology?
It's an amazing treat. When we first started talking about what we were going to do as BioWare's first MMO, it became Star Wars very quickly. But always been very big KOTOR fans, obviously. Love the universe, love the It really gives you all the building blocks you need while keeping all of the freedom that you could want, because you're not existing in the movies. You know, you're building your own characters, your own timeline. We separated ourselves from hundreds of years, even from the original Knights of the Old Republic, to say, okay, we can do what we want here. At the same time, you do have to think about what the purity of Star Wars means to you. There's a lot of places that the world has gone, and a lot of places the extended universe has gone, and we had to decide what of those really belonged in the Old Republic. And for me, even though there might be different aliens, there might be different planets, there might be things you have not seen, as far as how the world feels, that is really encapsulated by the movies. And again, we come back to sort of that Empire Strikes Back feel. You know, the Force is not magic. We should not be, like, you know, going through Force portals, and people shouldn't be throwing Force fireballs, and, you know, this, like, and there is some of that in the broader thing, but we really want to feel it's tech, it's space fantasy, you know, it is, the Force is a mysterious thing that is happening within this, but you don't want to fall off into swords and sorcery.
And obviously another big aspect of this game is the fact that, you know, the story is very strong, and the fact that a lot of the dialogue is actually provided by voice actors. How has that been coming along, and how has that sort of, you know, how does that alter the MMO experience?
It alters the MMO experience hugely. Having that much voice direction, and good voice direction, that's the difference. You can do all the voiceover you want, but if you don't want to listen to it, you just made yourself worse. So having professional, amazing actors, we've been doing this for years now, just getting all the voiceover work done, and then having choices, and having your player have a voice, and being able to choose what you say, really making yourself the star. You probably got to notice today, and everyone's going to get to notice tomorrow, when for the first time everyone in the public gets to come in and play the game. The cinematic experience totally changes your immersion, totally changes how connected you are to the decision and what you've gone and made your character into.
Sounds great. And final question, have to ask it, you know, platform and release date.
So it is coming out for PC, and it's spring 2011.
Great, sounds good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course. Stay tuned with GameSpot for more on Star Wars: The Old Republic.